Welcome back to the Robezoid channel. I'm your host, Mark, and welcome to Taking a Test Drive Thursdays. We are taking a test drive on the brand of Fragrance One and its flagship release, Office for Men. This is where it all started. Now, if you're clicking on this video on this channel and you know, thinking that you're going to expect the super polarizing fragrance review here, bashing Jeremy as a person, what he does on his channel, all that, click off. You're not going to get any juicy details here. This is a test drive. I do take these, you know, I've put in a lot of work with a lot of these test drives, including this one. And I'm going to be separating my thoughts of him and all that versus the scent. It's all about what's in front of me here. Now, there's quite a bit of hate on the line, and that could be perhaps because of him as a figure and as a fragrance reviewer and what he does. And then on the other side of the coin, it kind of just basically, you know, axes out because there's tons of love for the fragrance and a lot of new fragrance reviewers. You can see this on TikTok now. They're really sucking up to the man, basically the person that has the most, basically the most people or most subscribers. People will give flowers. You know, and again, you can kind of separate the actual fragrance reviewers versus the people that are trying to do this for other things. Now, full disclosure, I did receive this bottle and date for men from Jeremy like 4 years ago when he did his marketing push on YouTube with a bunch of YouTubers. So everyone and their mother got 2 to 4 bottles of this stuff. I do have videos on unboxings of this one and Date for Men. Date for Men is on the docket to get a test drive as well. I'm not going to, I have my regiments on regards to unboxings, first impressions, test drives, full-fledged review. And these came up, and I'm not going to ignore it just because it could be easy to just ignore and do something else, honestly, because I haven't really touched this, I'll be quite honest. And again, it's not just because it's Jeremy Fragrance's fragrance, like things like Bleu de Chanel, Sauvage, Dylan Blue. These are fragrances that are mainstream, very popular, but do I reach out for them? No, they just collect dust. So this one right here, and I haven't received anything else from the brand Fragrance One. After I got the initial fragrances and I did my videos, yeah, I kind of expected that I wasn't going to get any more product from that brand. But let's talk about Office for Men. If you haven't already, hey, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. And smash that like button. Much appreciated on my end. Let's go under the hood. Let's take a look at some stats on Office for Men. Release date was back in 2019, and I believe my unboxing was in 2020, early 2020, give or take. Nose behind this is the All-Star Perfume Alberto Morillas. An all-star nose. I do have to give him props. However, for many of these YouTubers, unfortunately, they use noses. They use their name as a selling point. So, you know, he started that. Jeremy started that with this brand, and now all the other YouTubers with Navitus and all their own brands, they're utilizing a nose and their name and their reputation as a selling point. Now, unfortunately for them, there's no real, how can I say, there's nothing to gravitate towards. Yeah, you could say you got Alberto Morillas, okay, but has he done no shitty fragrances? Yeah, he has. He's done more wrong than right. Has he not done a poorly made fragrance? Yeah. Has he made a cheap one? Yeah. It really depends on your budget. It really depends on your creative director, on what the scent is going to be, the scent profile. So yeah, you can use a flashy name, but it shouldn't be the selling point to your fragrance. It doesn't mean it's quality. It doesn't mean that it has to be expensive because Alberto did it. Alberto has done bargain bin stuff. And keep that in mind when buying fragrances. Like, these YouTubers are using any trick in the book. And that goes for all of them. Like, I've seen a lot of them just using the name of the perfumier. Okay, well, doesn't mean it's expensive just because so-and-so did it. So let's get into the major notes. The major notes to my nose: Bergamot is heavy in the introduction of this. Very heavily used compound. Ambroxan's in there. And I'm not a fan of ambroxan, so you're going to kind of know where this fragrance review is going to go. I mean, that's just, I'm being consistent. You can go through my fragrance reviews throughout the years. It's not because it's a YouTuber's fragrance that I'm hating on it. I don't like ambroxan, never will. And there's a woody compound in here, and I'm going to call it cedar. It's more cedar-like than anything else. Let's get to sniffing. And as usual, on any test drive, I have my strip here that I've utilized for several days to kind of remind myself while I'm writing my brief here. And that could be day, night. Anytime I have spare time that I can wear this fragrance, I will to write basically a brief for all of you. So it's still fresh on here from yesterday's spray. I am wearing this fragrance as my scent of the day today, and we are going to remind myself of this introduction off my hand here. And I think my unboxing, I stated this, and I'm going to state it again. The opening of Office for Men starts us off with the usual suspect of bergamot. And as a fragrance reviewer, I got to say, okay, look at what the bergamot is and versus a lot of other fragrances. And the bergamot in here is probably one, if not the most utilized citrus in the modern era. It's really popular. The bergamot here is quite good. It's well-rounded, and it will give the scent some brightness and a certain sparkle in this opening. Actually, the more you spray this stuff, the more, be careful, but the more rounded the bergamot smells to me. I mean, really, really in this opening. Now, overspraying this, especially if you don't like AMBROX, good luck. I feel there's quite a bit of bergamot in this release, and it will remind some of the use of that note in Aventus, and I would slightly agree on that part. It's much better than many designers that utilize bergamot in their releases, but it isn't the best bergamot in the game. Now, the bergamot itself sticks around, and it sticks around a lot longer than I expected into the start of the dry down, actually, which is a really good sign. As personally, this is the best part of Office for Men. It's all downhill from here now. Sorry, folks. It starts off fresh, it's clean, it's citrusy, a little fruity, tad piece of sweetness in here, and smells like a solid designer bergamot note. You can't be hating on this. And Morias, his strengths, personally for me, are aquatics, personally. And obviously because of the fame of what he does. And he's a well-rounded perfumier, personally. The only thing that I don't like about Marias is that he's never showed me that he could do better than just a top-selling designer fragrance. He's never, he's tippy-toed in high-end fragrances that are really expensive, like 150, 200, 300, 400. And in those instances, it just reminds me of designer fragrances. He really never stepped up personally as a fragrance. And he's done a lot. And again, I haven't smelt all his fragrances. He releases like 40, 50 fragrances a year. And he's been at this for a long, long time. So it's kind of hard to smell all. But this is where this fragrance goes in the downhill factor. And this is paired with an ambroxan. The ambroxan itself is annoying. I absolutely hate that compound. And anyone that knows me knows I hate that note. And depending on the utilization of it, Sauvage is probably, Dior Sauvage Eau de Toilette is probably the worst culprit. There's others, but that one's pretty bad. And they utilize this compound, and here it hits hard. It switches from an authentic and beautiful citrus bergamot to a synthetic musky. There's some peppery nuances here. There's some woody aspects here. But none of those smell rounded. They never smell, they don't, and again, it smells not authentic. It doesn't smell good to me, to my nose. Like the pepper does not smell like peppercorn. It just smells like something, and again, like a chemically done thing. And I understand, like some perfumiers can do like a note like pepper and make it really smell rounded. And I love that about, like, the bergamot in here is fairly rounded, but here there's just some, it's not well composed. It's kind of annoying. Sauvage Eau de Toilette does it worse than this, honestly. So it's not as annoying, but I say the opening is a little superior to the Sauvage. Not as scratchy, but it has that familiar mineral watery thing also that Morias loves to utilize. So at the end of the day, I'm kind of, in this opening, I'm kind of grasping at that bergamot, like, oh no, don't leave. That's how I'm feeling at the moment. you know, I'm not going to over exaggerate, headache inducing, things like that. No, no, no. But it is very, and again, like what the creative director wanted here is something, you know, push on the gas pedal. And this definitely in the introduction, it pushes on the gas pedal. The opening is strong. Now I feel like there was something beautiful, but alas, it turned into fragrances that I don't enjoy, like things like Dylan Blue, the original Sauvage, Eau de Toilette, Bleu de Chanel, Aventus. These are all fragrances. You go through my Rolodex of fragrance reviewing, you can go back in the years and when they first got released. I never liked those fragrances, and this goes right into that realm. It's the complete opposite of what I like in a designer release or even a niche fragrance. It's completely away from the niche realm, in my opinion. Now, moving into the mid of the scent, it scales back a bit with the standard issue AMBROX. There's some white muskiness. There's some slight woods that resemble a generic cedar note. It has that peppery nuance that Sauvage is known for, and it just does not hit right for me. There's some clean, sweet jasmine here with the floral aspect. It lists orris root as a note. I don't get any iris in this fragrance. There's not much of a change here. Once the bergamot burns off and gets hit in the head with this AMBROX, it starts, you lose the best part of the fragrance. And this back end gets more musks, woods, and peppery touches, and that's about it. Really, there's no colors to Office for, and maybe that was made. It just doesn't have any, doesn't bring me anywhere. None of the notes are talking to me except for the bergamot. Everything else is just a big fog in this fragrance. It really is. It's like trying to review a fragrance that you got at the bargain bin that costs like $15 and they have all these notes and you're just like, where's this? Where's that? Like it just is a big fog of something. That's how I feel about this release. So overall, with all the respect in the world, this isn't Maurice's finest work. And I'm assuming it's because of the creative direction, which isn't very creative. The brief, I would probably cringe as a, you know, if I was in that office, I'd be like, ooh, really? But again, I see where the creative director wanted to go with this. Sell units, you know, this is the people that I want to tackle this fragrance with is new fragrance noses to younger kids. That's the demographic of this fragrance. That's all it is. The name itself doesn't sell to that demographic personally, but cheapening out on the product and things like that, it really screams out like I'm trying to make a profit. I'm trying to sell as many units as I can. The price tag does not reflect that, but the amount of discounts and the amount of, you know, I'm running out of business, you know, big sale and then coming back, and it screams that kind of stuff. Like I'm trying to sell as many units. Oh, the cash flow is going down. Let's put 60% off. So then we can have some more money coming in. That's all this screams personally for me. Unfortunately, all it is, it's a beginner fragrance for a teenager. So Office for Men, no, more like locker room for teens. Instead of a can of Axe at $5 a pop and overspraying that in the locker room and going out thinking you're the man, teenagers have too much money that they have this expensive thing that does the exact same thing. They overspray this stuff. And this new generation, they post it on TikTok. Oh, I sprayed 20 sprays of Office for Men. Compliments galore. Now I'm going to go to the gym. Wow. That's the demographic of this. Now, let's go into seasons, day, night, versatility, and performance. Seasons. This is a spring, fall-y tweener type of fragrance, but it's a all season. It's one of those. Bleu de Chanel is one of those. Sauvage is one of those. Versatility is high. I'm going to get to that. But it is, you need a Swiss Army knife of sorts. You need one of these in your collection. And it all depends on your taste on what, like for me, I don't go with the blues. I got something else for, you know, really just easy to wear kind of stuff, everyday kind of stuff. You need one of those, but at this price point, you don't need it. At this price point, you can find it somewhere else. Day or night, this is more of a daytime scent, and of course Office for Men makes sense. Versatility, sky high. It's really good for versatility. There's no personality to it, so there's nothing hindering you to wear this fragrance. It's just the user's fault if there's too much, you spray too much, things like that. That is going to make it, you know, the versatility not so good. Performance. Now the performance is, depending on who you ask, it could be beast mode right up to a whisper. I mean, it really is a lot of different polarizing thoughts on the performance of this. Longevity is good, 7 to 9 hours. And again, it's just like any other, like Bleu de Chanel. So, and again, I feel like a broken record. It's a designer fragrance. So it does that, 7 to 9 hours. Sometimes it can push a little longer, but that's the gist of it, 7 to 9, that it's doing good. And then it's probably on fumes after that, depending if you spray on clothes or not. Projections average. Starts off booming, yeah. Starts off really strong. But I would say probably hour 3 or 4, this thing is starting to mellow and it drops almost off to a cliff. So just keep that in mind as far as performance go. When people say performance is beast mode, it could be. It could be depending on you. But for me, that's what I got out of that performance. Now on to my final thoughts on Office for Men. And honestly, you know what? This is my personal thoughts again. I'm not going to be kicking him. But I don't like this fragrance, and I'm going to give my final thoughts because I'm honest, and I don't really care on who I anger or you know, if you're getting angry, that's your issue. My final thoughts are this. This is a designer fragrance, through and through. There's no niche quality here at all. I don't care if Matthias did it. I don't care if Jesus himself did it. This copied others before it. There is no creative bone in here. There's none. This copies. The problem is, and always has been with this release, the price. Even a buy one, get one, it's still highway robbery. And again, it just makes you think of a lot of these influencers. Anybody that has a bottle written to their name, personally, and I've been in some of these briefs, don't get it twisted. It's not like I didn't get my time. I got asked to do a brand by some of these. And I looked at them and I'm like, are we going to be spending, you know, giving it to the public for $200 plus a bottle? Yep. But we're going to offer discount codes. No. Can we do one for under $100? No, we got to make profit. Yeah, exactly. You're going to make 300% profit on what no, that's not cool. You know, things like this, you know, these things, let me get, do I have one? Yes, I do, right here. This thing right here, you might not see it. This is a collar. This goes right here and it hides the crimping. Less than a penny. You know, if you're going to buy 10,000 of them, less than a penny, a lot less. And you have to buy them in bulk. That's what that is. That covers that and makes it look just a little prettier. Cap, this is less than a penny. Okay? It's just think about the cost that's going into this and what these influencers are at. They're going at the bottom of the barrel. Like they're going to the bottle manufacturers, atomizers, all this, and they're going at the clearance section. All of these influencers. There's nothing, boxes, bottles, everything. They cheap out on everything to maximize profit. So this, at best, is a $50 fragrance. My suggestion to you, if you're new and you're looking at this and you're going to spend that kind of money, whoa, hold the horses. Go into Macy's. Go check out Sauvage by Dior. I don't like it, but it's pretty much the same thing as this. Bleu de Chanel, Y by YSL, Explorer by Montblanc, okay? Go and sniff those because you can go to the store and sniff those, see which one is best for you, and then go to a discounter and get them for almost half price of what Macy's is asking you. If you're going to spend this kind of money on this fragrance, just go get a Ventus. If you're into this bro type of scent profile, just get that. Honestly, I don't see the interest. This is for the mailroom kid, not the CEO. Like he was marketing it as your inner CEO. No, it's the kid in the mailroom, you know, that puts too much cologne on. He goes home, is insecure, but thinks he's the man because he bought a Jeremy fragrance that everybody says there's compliments online. And there's all fluff, no substance. The loudness of this scent initially makes me think, has Jeremy ever worked in an office? Like, I'm sorry, if I wore something like this in the office, whew, hey, you're sent home. Prada Amber Put On, Prada L'Homme, Tom Ford Grey Vetiver. those are office-based scents. Clean, easy to wear, classy even. You smell like soap. No one's gonna be like, oh my God. It's almost a joke on how, like, it's almost he played a joke to the whole fragrance community on how loud this is and calling it office for men. Yeah, so influencer fragrances that cost around $200 now, all thanks to Jeremy, because Jeremy did it. He was successful as far as lining his pockets, and they try to squeeze as much dollars out of their fans. Cheapest caps on the market, bring them on. You know, no collar. You know, spending money on a box? No, not even. But we're going to utilize a nose that everybody knows about and sell that and be like, oh, this is worth $200+. It's a bottle that looks like something that is in the bargain bin at TJ Maxx. Cutting corners is the name of the game and trying to sell the product by utilizing master perfumers, and they churn out, you know, $20 fragrances on the market. That should not be a selling point. If you already have Bleu de Chanel, Sauvage, Dylan Blue, etc., this isn't anything new to those. Those fragrances are already past their prime, and the brands have moved on. And for most of them, they've changed the recipe to EDPs, to parfum, to elixirs, to make them, you know, basically squeeze out the last amount of money of this blue DNA. This scent is stuck in the past, stole from the past, and isn't timeless. Its time has come. So overall, it's time to put this puppy to pasture. As a real reviewer, I'd recommend newbies to try, you know, if you're stumbling upon this video, try Explore by Montblanc. It's not going to wow anybody, honestly, but it's exactly the demographic of what this is going against. Explore by Montblanc, beautiful bottle, beautiful presentation. You're getting it from a brand that is obviously known. It's going to cost you at a discount of $30 or $50, depending. And trust me, you're going to get a lot more for your money out of that fragrance than you trying to blind bind this because of an influencer. That's my thought process. With all the money you saved, get yourself a haircut, get yourself a gym membership, get yourself some new shoes at the same time, take out a date with all the money you've saved, and you still have a full 100 ml bottle of Explore in your pocket. Is this original? No. Is there another blue scent that is slowly losing grip on the market? Yeah. Do I recommend it? No. Compliments? Okay. I know there's going to be people in the thing, I get tons of compliments of this. Yeah, so I get it with Liz Claiborne Curve. It's a $10 fragrance. Curve gets compliments. It's a 90s fragrance, and it gets compliments. You can't grasp compliments. You can't grasp things that, you know, these reviewers are saying sexy. This is sexy. Well, okay. I think Tom Ford's Sahara Noir is sexy, but that's me. Are you going to say the same thing? Like, what does that mean? It's mass appealing. Okay, so is Bleu de Chanel, half the price. So is Montblanc Explorer, mass appealing. Okay, what else are you going to tell me? Like, it's just the, you know, long lasting. Okay, well, Curve by Liz Claiborne's long lasting, $10 fragrance. Yeah. So that is the thing that they sell you on: longevity, projection, complement factor, and versatility. The designer game already has all that. And you pay less. And you can get samples. And you can test easily because they are at stores. So I went on his site just to see how much this stuff is right now. Without a code, I don't see a code on the site. I'm not going to do that much research. I'm sorry. I'm sure there's a buy one, get one or something, some sort of code. Right now it's $348 Canadian because I'm Canadian, but I'm going to go USD because I know someone in the comments is going to say, so it's $249 USD. Holy crap. These influencers are utilizing your insecurities. It's sickening to me. Like, I just went on his site to see that, and then I see an ad of S-Boy and Jeremy, and they have an ad that says, get a girl, keep a girl, with their fragrances. It's like $500 for, like, you'll get both. Both those scents are like bargain bin $20 fragrances. Like, oh, like that was just a small, like that's just not me trying. That's just a small example of these brands and these influencers using your insecurities. I'm looking at you. You bought this to separate you from your money. Quality's not there. Now I see Jeremy now, the trend is that he squeezed as much money out of the YouTube fragrance community as he could. There's nothing new on these fragrances on YouTube. for obvious reasons. His direction is to really squeeze as much out of the TikTok community. That's all I'm seeing is these TikTok little boys here they see Jeremy as their idol, and oh my God, they're breaking bottles, they're spraying 50 sprays, they're being obnoxious. It's just, I should get off TikTok because that's all I see. I see Jeremy creeping out people, smelling their necks all the time. I'm like, why is that being sent to me? Okay, so Office for Men. I'm done with this thing. Yeah, this is, and again, you kind of figured where I was going to go with this one. The scent itself did not sell me at all. The only thing I could say out of this that's appealing is the bergamot itself. It's an actual really good, but there's other things with it that a lot of designer brands do. Longevity, projection, versatility, a compliment factor. These are all designers. That's what they do. That's their bread and butter. Like, why would you spend, what is it, 249 USD, even if it's buy one, get one? Holy crap. And I know designer prices are getting up there now. So, but even at that price, whew. Now, I'm done now. It's time for you to hit us up in the comments below. What do you think of this fragrance? Oh, I'm sure my comment section is going to be crazy for this one. I know my diehards don't really care about this fragrance. You're probably going to skip this, but yeah, looking forward to reading the comments, seeing how people are going to defend. And that's what people do in the comments, is they're going to defend it. Compliments. I see you. Compliments. Sexy, long-lasting, versatile. I know. I've called it out. But I'm looking forward to reading those comments anyway. And a great report fragrance will make a lasting impression. And please, if you're new to the game, don't get swindled. These influencers, that's, if you can take one thing out of this, forget Jeremy. He's the one that started it all. He's the little boy that did it all. If you can take one thing out of this video, is that these influencers, if they have their own brand, their own line, okay, and they have these cheap looking bottles that look like this, they look like TJ Maxx bottles, and they're using the name of the creators, these poor creators. Some of them, they're icons. And honestly, like, I have so much respect for all those perfumiers and these influencers utilizing them as a tool to sell their 250. And again, it's their own thing, right? But I just hope that some people out there, like insecure boys, like, wake up. This smelly stuff, it's not magic potion. And just be aware of that. This is not a magic potion. It's not going to get you laid. It's not. And unfortunately, these brands are utilizing this sexual tool against you. Unfortunately. And I guess it might not be my job to, you know, talk to you and kind of make you think, okay, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be spending $250 on a fragrance from an influencer that doesn't really care about a cap or a box or the actual fragrance inside, but they're just lining their pockets and they're utilizing you. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good one.